sure our patients, our guests are going through the programs in a healthy manner and try to focus on the main targets they want or they have when they come to SHA in order to achieve them properly.
Great. And at a time like now, as I was sort of saying, it's so important that we all boost our immunity with winter coming up, cold and flu season, and obviously having this dreaded virus that's not going away. What can we do holistically and also medically to really focus on our immune system? And if you can just explain how important our immunity is for our healthy aging process as well.
Right, they're actually very linked to the point that we doctors talk about the concept of immunosenescence, which is how our immune system is aging with us. And we actually know that if we are aging faster than we should, our immune system is actually going that process too. And they are very, very much linked together. Obviously, the immune system is crucial for life. So we need, from the very first moment we are on Earth, we need to have a fully functioning immune system. So basically, this is when we are developing in our mom's womb. We are starting having a fully functioning immune system. And for the very first moment we are in contact with the external environment, our immune system will start to develop, to learn, to be in contact with pathogens and all the external influences, and it will start to modulate. So that process is actually lasting the first few years in our life, and then keeps modulating, moderating, and adapting to the new circumstances. So basically, the top tips to boost your immune system are very, very much similar to the ones to keep on a healthy aging process. Because as I said, there's a very strong connection between immune system and aging. So we know that if you're aging not very well, our immune system is not going to be very strong. So if we are able to keep our immune system strong, our aging process will be modulated, will be slowed down too. There are many things that can affect the immune system now, obviously, because it's a hot topic. We've been researching more and more. We knew already many factors, but now the evidence is to be stronger for most of them. Well, the main one, and that's for obvious reasons, is nutrition. So we are in contact with the external walls, and our connection to keep alive is not only breathing, but eating, okay? So we know that there are certain types of diet that can promote inflammation, which is a very strong factor for the immune system and how the immune system fights infections. So having an anti-inflammatory diet is one of the essential, the must you can have on your daily life. And in that sense, a diet rich in whole grains, in nuts, in vegetables, mainly having fish as a main source of animal proteins, and having it low meat and dairy products. It's well known as to be the most useful anti-inflammatory diet. And that's because we know that meat, amino acids, and also the dairy products can promote, particularly in some people, can promote some inflammation in our system. And this is something we always check when we come to the terms of checking or assessing your aging process, because we know that even mild inflammation, what we call systemic inflammation process, can accelerate aging and can disturb your immune system. So that is one of the key points of that. But there are some more of them that we know that definitely affect immunity. Exercise is one of them. We know that people lacking of exercise will have a weaker immune system. And on the contrary, we know that exercise, and particularly some types of exercise, like heat training, can boost very quickly, very rapidly your immune system. Rest is another one. obviously, when you are stressed, you are secreting cortisol, adrenaline, which for a short period of time can boost your immunity. But if it's maintained, it will cause a decline on your immune system function, on how it works. So the function will be very severely affected. So trying to cope with stress, obviously we don't control how much stress we've got around, but we can control how we react to it. So that is something really important, trying to learn techniques to have a good stress management. So it is essential for that. About stress, how we rest every day, sleeping, having our resting period is also very important. Just one night of disturbed sleep can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, yes.
Hello?
Just, I think your connection might be
yes.
a little low at the moment, it says.
A bit slower.
Yes.
Okay. So just one single night of disturbed sleep can affect your immune system. It's very, very well proven. So that can cause this disruption in how your immune system works.
Yeah. Sleep
some of the things, and they're so sleeping is yep.
I'm just curious, what happens, because it's quite challenging to get the perfect 8 hours, 9 hours sleep every single night. Now, overall, I'm a good sleeper myself, but there are just some nights, and I think everyone can relate to it, where you just don't have a good night's sleep and you don't wake up feeling as fresh and vibrant as you did the morning before. What would be your recommendation, sort of a day like that? If you have time for a power nap, would you advise a power nap, or just slog through the day and just get to bed early that night?
Well, actually having some time for a nap, for a short nap, will definitely help. We know that the minimum time in which your immune system will be fine will be at least 7 hours. So if you're able to sleep for 7 hours in terms of immune system, that will be fine. And the evidence says that less than that will affect your immune system. But some people, they don't sleep so long. So in that case, you need to make sure, and having a short nap of 20 minutes, 15 minutes can definitely help for that. That's definitely something that I recommend if you are a more active person and you're not one of those who have a very sleep. Then obviously you can use some supplements to help on that. We all know about melatonin and how it works on helping to get a good sleeping rhythm. Melatonin has been another trending topic nowadays, because it seems to help the immune system too. It seems to help lymphocytes, and actually is secreted by lymphocytes, which are one of the immune system cells. So obviously, ideally, we should have our own melatonin section, and we can achieve that by trying to be consistent with the circadian rhythm. So we should go to bed early in the evening. We shouldn't be using many screens or many electronic devices after sunset, and then we should wake up early. So we should wake up when the sun is rising to have this boost of this peak of cortisol when you have in the morning, and melatonin is secreted. We know that is actually the influence that the system and the circadian rhythm can have on the immune system. So there is a common supplement sometimes I recommend, which is the ashwagandha, which is an Indian herb that can also help. It's not anything to do with sleeping tablet or so, which obviously we don't recommend. There are certain things you can do to help to boost that desire to go to sleep and to make your sleeping much more comfortable.
Melatonin, I think, is fantastic. I always take that for long haul flights to help me get back into my rhythm of sleeping a few days before the flight and a few days after. And sometimes I'll take it occasionally throughout the year. Are you recommending it's good to take as like a supplement every evening before bedtime?
I don't normally recommend if you can be without it, it would be much better because we all have our own melatonin. So we are not, we don't need to take melatonin as a supplement. Something different, for example, with vitamin C. We don't produce vitamin C, we need to get it from our food. But melatonin, we actually produce it. So ideally, you should get your body used to produce your own melatonin by this game of not using the electronic devices, because artificial light will disrupt the production of melatonin. So after the sunset, try not to have strong lights, because that will decrease your melatonin content in the body. But for any occasions, as you said, when you're flying or you are going to a different part of the world, obviously our system is very used to routine, or if we are changing our routine, then we can have for a few days use melatonin to put things back to normal. So for short periods of time, that will be something useful. For some time ago, we used to recommend melatonin for longer periods, but it looks like it doesn't work so well as if you use it just on occasional periods when you need it.
Good, that's really useful to know. And your obviously exercise is also very, very important for immunity, as you pointed out. And there's been a lot of studies about obesity is obviously linked to COVID-19, also to do with your immunity if you're overweight. And the government over here are continuing to push people into making an effort to focus on lifestyle choices, being more active and losing weight. What is the ideal workout routine for the average person during a week? And what you mentioned, HIIT training. What types of training is the best? Cardio, strength, walking, swimming, or a mixture of everything?
Right. Well, I 100% agree. Obesity is a great risk factor when we talk about COVID-19. And to me, and in my experience, it's even more dangerous than smoking, for example. So obesity will lead to this phenomenon we were talking at the beginning about inflammation, and we know that obese people, they have a high systemic inflammation that will create a bad immunity response, where first your immune system will not be acting on time, it will be delayed, and secondly, when it works, it will create a huge inflammatory response, which actually will lead to the complications on COVID-19, and will to the cytokine storm and clotting and microthrombo in your system, microemboly, and so on. So exercise is crucial, not only to prevent obesity, but also as an individual booster to the immune system. Obviously, we know that light exercise, regular light exercise, 10,000 steps, and aerobic exercise on a daily basis, that is very well recommended because it will create a good oxygenation of your tissues. All your response and your defenses will be much quicker to get there, and your tissues will be much more in good conditions, but much better oxygenated. So that's the first thing. But if you want to boost the immune cells, your lymphocytes, your monocytes, and the production of antibodies, some stronger exercise, cardio will be completely okay, but this HIIT exercise, I'm particularly including your muscles. So that's why I tell people, well, I'm very happy you go to your gym 3-4 times a week, but while you're going there, and try to take your muscles 2 minutes, obviously on the safety circumstances, and obviously supervised. And but it's good to every now and again, at least 2-3 times a week, try to have a more intense exercise session or workout session for just about half an hour, 15-20 minutes. That's, you don't need actually much more than that. If you do that 2-3 times a week, you pretty sure you are helping and collaborating to boost the immune system cells.
Yes, yeah. Good. That's good to know. And I'm interested to know how the SHA method can support our immunity, and a little bit more information about the new immunity program that you've put together there.
Well, obviously, as we know, it's a big issue nowadays, and it's very, very important to boost your immunity nowadays, at least until we get a vaccine. So we've designed a particular program to make the best. We all know, and we have evidence, and scientific evidence, to boost the immune system. So apart from that, this program will contain some specific assessments for immune system. So we are doing a full lymphocyte population analysis, which is a blood test actually, in which we will be see how your immune system is working right now. Which is something interesting, because some people, and that there are also some, apart from the lifestyle, there are some genetic influences on how our immune system work. So it's good to know how your immune system is. And once we have that, we have some pre-packed programs and treatments. We are all included. And if we know there is anything particularly needed, we can also help on that. We have an immunologist working with us, Dr. Mayoga, who will be actually dealing with the more complicated cases, or the ones specifically needing an extra boost. But usually, normally, and thank goodness that is not necessary, and what we need to do is just boosting your natural immune system. And for that, we are using the combination that we know, and we for experience that has been working in SHA, with more specific treatments designed for boosting the immune system. Obviously, nutrition, it's within all SHA programs, and our diet, it's per se very anti-inflammatory, and it's full of whole grains, it's full of vegetables, mushrooms as well, which will also boost your vitamin D, and some circulated. We haven't talked about vitamin D, which is also very, very important for immune system.
Absolutely. And vitamin C and vitamin D are very important, aren't they?
Yeah, vitamin D, it's recognized as a very strong factor in order to avoid COVID-19 complications. Vitamin D is now more considered as a hormone rather than a vitamin, and it's essentially many physiological processes. Immune system functioning, it's one of them, and we know that the lack of vitamin D will create immune system deficiencies. So our diet, it contains all the nutrients, and it also very rich in antioxidants. Oxidation is another important factor for immunity. When we are fighting an infection, not only COVID-19, but any infection, but particularly with COVID-19, we are actually using our antioxidant storage. Okay, we all have an antioxidant capacity that we can check. And while we are fighting the infection, the longer we are fighting, the less antioxidant capacity we will have. That oxidation will lead to inflammation and will lead to complications from the infection. So you also need to have a very good antioxidant diet. And there are particular foods that will boost the antioxidant capacity, like any blue and red fruits, for example, vitamin C and some others. And also will be anti-inflammatory, and they will be lowering down the inflammation that we all can be accumulating when we are using processed food and together mixed with stress and so on. So that's one thing. Apart from that, we will be doing a specific exercise program with a personal trainer who is going to first assess how we are, and then depending on the level we are, who will be helping us to achieve a better level, and then designing a program, obviously, to go on once you go back home.
Great.
We are going
our clients can sort of take away a fitness program with them to continue back back at home.
Exactly. Exactly. Same as a nutrition program. So we all, every time, apart from showing how is our nutrition and so how is your program, we offer cooking classes, either group or individual, face-to-face cooking classes. And then we always do a program to go on once you're going back home. But apart from that, again, mind is important. So we have included some mind and body treatments, also a mind assessment to see how you are, which are your levels of stress and how we can help on that. We are also doing a bioenergy assessment, which is using the technology that can assess how you are energetically and how the lifestyle, your current lifestyle, is affecting your energy levels. And we can boost that and act promptly. And also using some devices, some technology, we can help to counteract those low levels that you may have. And some of those specific treatments like ozone therapy are also very good. Ozone, it's a really, really good treatment. Actually, there are even some trials ongoing for COVID-19 patients, and it looks like it is diminishing very well how the COVID-19 is affecting your system, your body.
And therapy,
it's really, really good. It's energizing, but also as an immune system booster. And finally, there is another treatment which is very, very recommended to boost the immune system, which is the cryotherapy. That treatment, it's basically using a device with lowering the temperature very, very rapidly, just for a few minutes, and it will put your body into a challenge. We know that extreme temperatures, both hot and cold, are very well-known immune boosters. So things like Finnish sauna followed by cryotherapy, which can be quite hard. We know that they give you a quick boost, which you can measure.
You're recommending going from extreme heat to extreme cold?
Well, obviously, there are some contraindications and some precautions for some people. Obviously, if you are, for example, if you are suffer from heart conditions, you shouldn't do those. Some people suffering from thyroid, which is not very well controlled, then you should take care with that. So that's why at the beginning of our programs, we make a general health examination, a general health assessment by one doctor who will be assessing whether that's okay for you, we recommend it, or we need to change for a different treatment because it's not more suitable for you. But generally, we know that extreme temperatures down, obviously on a controlled environment and with under supervision, they will be really good to boost your immune system.
I actually had cryotherapy recently, and I had the best night's sleep of my life that evening, and I felt amazing for a week after. Is that something you should do quite often? Like, is it a weekly thing you'd recommend?
Well, cryotherapy could be one of them. And sometimes is obviously, if you don't have it available, you can even try at home with your shower. So what I recommend, if you don't have a cryo available, there is a much easier way to do it, which is using the heat first, having warm water as much as you can cope with, of course. So you shouldn't scald yourself, but you can use hot water followed by very cold water. And it's also very well known to work on that. So that's similar to that. And I recommend, and myself, try to do it regularly, almost every day. And once you get used to it, it's really, really comfortable and you feel really nice. And the feeling, as you say, for example, for sleeping, will be really, really comforting.
But when you say you can do cryotherapy at home, because I went into the cryotherapy chamber, 3 minutes, absolutely freezing, running on the spot, did the whole thing properly. Are you saying like at home you could just do like an ice bath?
Uh, well, I know some people do, and in Spain, in winter, obviously it's not so cold as in the UK, but if you have an outdoor swimming pool, they can get quite cold, not as cold as if you have an ice bath, but submerging or immersing yourself in cold water can help. I wouldn't probably recommend an ice bath for everyone. Again, if you're at home, if you're on your own, and then obviously you could have problems with that. But for sure, cold water, short immersions in cold water will help your immune system, and that's something proven. So probably not for everyone, but at least having the cold water just for a few seconds, up to 30 seconds or so, will be definitely beneficial for your health.
Fantastic.
Obviously, if you have the cryotherapy available, that would be much better. Just 3 minutes and you're getting the best of it. But not everyone has a cryotherapy chamber available for that.
No, but if there's one near where you live, it's recommended to book a course.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Quite often. Yeah, same as like infrared sauna as well. More of those are starting to pop up around my area. So
yeah, exactly. So you can even get an infrared sauna at home, which is now very, very much available. The cryo, it's a bit more difficult because you need specific equipment for that.
Yeah.
We use liquid nitrogen. So you need a liquid nitrogen tank if you want the temperatures to go down in low enough. But infrared sauna, it's a very, very much available everywhere nowadays.
Great. This is already great. I'm just thinking of time. I'd love to open up a Q&A session for anyone that would like to unmute their microphones if they're not already on mute. And please go ahead if anyone has any questions now, just so we don't run out of time at the end. Please go ahead and ask Carlos.
I have arthritis in my hands and feet. I try and avoid inflammatory foods, but is there anything else that I can do to ease pain? I take turmeric. I've just had a ginger tea, real ginger, not a packet of ginger. Anything else that I can do to help myself?
Right. Well, contrast temperature are very well known, also good for arthritis. Having an anti-inflammatory diet, as you say, it is essential for it. And then there are some supplements that it could help for that too. So turmeric, as you mentioned, is one of them, to me one of the better ones. Something like berberine, which we use for some other conditions, but also for inflammation, can help. And vitamin D is also really recommended. So we know that if you're deficient on vitamin D, it's not only going to affect the calcium into your bones, but it's going to increase the pain of any known or previous arthritis you have. And then make sure you're, again, because of that relationship in between oxidation and inflammation, you have to make sure that you have a good antioxidant resource in your diet, or taking them in form of supplements. Obviously, vitamin C is one of the well-known ones, but there are some others which are even much stronger than vitamin C. I like particularly PQQ, which is one of the best antioxidants to me. PQQ, it's derived from many vegetables, and it's a very, very well-known antioxidant, and it's about 8 times stronger than the vitamin C. So probably something I would recommend.
Okay. So is that readily available online, or?
Yeah. Yes, it is. It is. So you can get it in any supplement store or laboratory. Most of them, they have their own one, and the molecule is called pyrroloquinone. So it's a very funny name. So the name is the easy name is PQQ.
PQQ, right? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone else in the room have any questions for Carlos?
Can I just follow on that with the Montmorency cherry supplements? Are they, is that sort of good for, sort of, my understanding is that's good for antioxidants as well?
Sorry, which one?
Montmorency cherry supplements.
Oh, yes, any cherries and forest fruits who are, blue and red fruits are very, very good antioxidants because they're very, very high in anthocyanins, it's really, really good antioxidants. So cherries, blueberries, blackberries, and so on. They're definitely strawberries. So any berries are really, really good antioxidants. So I always recommend it to have on a regular basis, even if they're frozen. I know sometimes it's difficult to get them fresh all year round, but I remember I read an article whether they actually compared fresh with frozen in terms of the antioxidant capacity, and the antioxidant capacity and properties seem to preserve even if they're frozen. So don't feel you can get them frozen if you don't have them fresh available, that it will still be good as antioxidants, as an antioxidant.
Excellent, thank you. Can I also just ask a quick question on the shower cryotherapy hot and cold option? So does it matter on the order? Because I mean, normally you'd have a nice hot shower. So if you had your hot shower and then just at the end went with the cold water, is that a good way of doing it? Or does it need to be the other way around? Or do you
It is a good way. I mean, to me, it's the easiest. Obviously, on our we have to make sure that we are able. Any changes we do in our lifestyle are easy to maintain over time. And to me, we all have our daily showers. So one of the best ways is just we all have access to very hot and very cold water. In Spain, not so easy, especially in the summer, because even if you open the cold water, it's not cold at all. But I know in the UK, it's much easier. So having hot and cold water shower is a good method. It works over time, and it's very easy to do. I think it's much easier than actually preparing an ice bath and so on. Ice bath would be another one, but preparing your ice bath just to have a few seconds, because we shouldn't stay much longer than just a few seconds or 1 or 2 minutes. It's much easier if you get your hot and cold water and you have your normal shower, and at the end of the shower you have a few seconds with hot water. Again, as much as you can cope with, you shouldn't suffer with that, and then immediately go to the very cold water. And at the beginning, you may not be able to stay more than 5-6 seconds, but if you practice, you will be able to actually stay for more than 30-40 seconds, and it's actually quite pleasant indeed.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What about a Mediterranean diet?
Well, Mediterranean diet is one of the best diets we can get. If you think about it, it's one diet containing full of whole grains, legumes or pulses, which are also a very good source of carbohydrates, and many fruits and vegetables, and a lot of fish too. So oily fish is our favorite, because of the high intake of the high amounts of vitamin D and also omega-3 fatty acids, which are also very anti-inflammatories. So omega-3, by the way, with your question of arthritis, omega-3, it's another one, it's another must as anti-inflammatory. But Mediterranean diet, the only but that I would use with it is with the excess of bread. So some people say, well, I have a full Mediterranean diet and I love French bread and so on. Well, you have to stay away of refined cereals and grains. And if you're having bread, make sure it's whole bread and not an excess of it. But in terms of pulses, for example, pulses and legumes, and a very rich and very good source of carbohydrates, and they are very much mixed with fiber. So every time you have any carbohydrates, they should all be mixed with fiber, because that will make a huge difference on how are they absorbed. They will not produce a peak of glucose in your blood, and at the same time, they will be partially digested by your bacteria in your gut, and they will also process them, so they will be absorbed much lower. But a Mediterranean diet is a very, very good diet as well as anti-inflammatory. And we all know that. And in some populations, like in some regions in France, in Spain, in Italy, well, they have many centenarians. They've all have been having Mediterranean diets. We know that there are some other diets. In Japan, you have a different diets, which are also very anti-inflammatory and longevity like diets. More or less, they all have the same principles, mainly vegetables, mainly fish rather than meat, and not very much dairy or very little dairy. And also, which is very, very important, not very big portions. So it's not only what you eat, it's also how you eat it and the portions. So we shouldn't have very big portions. Japanese have this say, which is harahashibu, which means do not eat until you feel completely satiated. Stop before that, okay? And doing so, you are going to get your system used to not having a lot of food. Now, and that's another topic we could be discussing for hours about intermittent fasting and so on. So we know that some degree of fasting and not overeating, it's another way of getting a healthy aging process. Obviously, when you are eating any kind of diet, even if it's a healthy diet, your body has to work on processing that, on digesting, on absorbing everything, on processing, and obviously getting all the residuals and remove them from your system. So if you are overeating, you are putting your body under an extra work, which is actually not needed. So we don't actually need to eat a lot. We need to eat healthy, but not a lot, for sure.
What about avoiding gluten?
Well, gluten is actually something that's, it's a big debate about that. So it looks like there is a big campaign against gluten, but for sure, gluten and gliadin are proteins that are quite pro-inflammatory, particularly for some people. It doesn't seem that it's for everyone, but generally is something that we should not abuse of. So it's not so easy to digest, and actually that's why they use it, because it gives consistency to food, to cereals, to bread, and so on. And when they use it as a supplement for any other foods, it gives that consistency. So it's not very, very easily digested. So even if you are not celiac, so even if you don't have any celiac disease, you shouldn't abuse gluten. My recommendation is try not to have too much. Okay, so I'm not entirely or totally against it. Obviously, if you're diabetic, celiac, or you are gluten intolerant, then you should stay away of it. But if you're not, try not to have too much. So your gut will be grateful for that, let's say.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Great, we've got time for one or two more questions if anyone has anything else to ask Carlos.
I was just wondering, generally, when it's getting darker and it's quite difficult to feel energetic going to work or to do things, like it's kind of like SAD syndrome or so on. What would be the better ways to make it easier mentally, especially to go through?
Well, that's a very, very good question. And there are there is actually a couple of things we haven't discussed during this time, which are also very important to feel energetic and also to boost your immune system. And they are proven, scientifically proven for that. One is social life. So one of the things we shouldn't forget, and this is particularly important in this lockdown time, that socializing, it's still important for us. We are social animals. We need to socialize. That will be helping our mind, will be making us comfortable. And this is something we shouldn't forget. The second one is a contact with nature. We should not disconnect. In modern society, especially if you live in an urban environment, you tend to be disconnected from nature. And this is really, really important. There is a good article about forest bathing and the influence on immune system. So going and walking through the forest, it's actually boosting your immune system, and it's causing some other effects. So those two are really important. If you want to do something else, particularly in the winter times, I think Paul mentioned about the infrared sauna. So infrared sauna could be another one which is going to give this extra energy your cells need when the dark hours are longer than normal. Obviously, that depends on which latitude are you living. But infrared sauna could be another one and another easy way to help that.
Thank you very much. I'm myself from Finland, so I'm aware of quite a few points.
That's a good example then.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lina. We have time for one last question if anyone has something they'd like.
Yeah, I have a question actually. Hi, I just want to know about, I mean, I don't know if it's a relevant question right now, but about immune system for healthy pregnancy. I would like to know what's, yeah.
Right, yeah, for healthy pregnancy. Okay, yeah. Well, pregnancy, when we talk about COVID-19, is not a major risk factor, okay? So that's the first. So people who are pregnant, they should be really concerned. It shouldn't be really concerned about COVID-19. We know being pregnant is not a very strong risk factor for that. But obviously, pregnancy, it's a very special time of your life. And your immune system is very active while you're pregnant. And it has to be active and modulated, because you are having inside you are having a new human being, which is sometimes interpreted by your system as something strange, something external. So you need to have a healthy immune system in order to modulate the immune system. So the immune system will recognize the baby and will say, well, that's fine, that's okay. So there's no need to work on that. So again, for pregnancy, things like light exercise will be essential. Keeping outside, so having some sunlight exposure are really important. Some other particular important one like iodine. So iodine and thyroid function is very important in pregnancy. We know that iodine deficiency will cause low thyroid function, and that will have implications on your metabolism. It will be slowing down your metabolism and subsequently your immune system. But more importantly, we know that there is a CI decline on the babies where they've been born in areas where the iodine it's really low, okay? So, or areas where they don't have any sea products or fish or seaweeds or so. We know that low iodine in your diet will be important, not only for immune system, but also for your baby, especially for your brain, for the baby's brain development. So light exercise, being out, sunlight, again, contact with nature, and making sure your diet is really rich in vitamin D and iodine, and again, antioxidants. That's really important.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Carlos, for your time today. I hope everyone's found it really interesting and we can all go away and take something away from this and now focus on getting through the winter whilst the search for a vaccine continues, and keep our immunity in top-tip condition. And we'll do our best to stay as healthy and fit as we possibly can. If anyone is interested in further information, we will be doing a Q&A interview with Carlos, which will be featured on the Health and Fitness Travel blog and a forthcoming newsletter. And if anyone's got any questions at any time about traveling during the pandemic and going to SHA Wellness Clinic next year, please contact us at Health and Fitness Travel, and one of the team will be happy to help any of you and assist you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul, and thank you for Health and Fitness Travel for giving us the opportunity to be together today. So it's been my pleasure. Any other questions that you may arise, please feel free to forward them to Paul, and I will be most happy to assist on that. Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Carlos.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.